Attack of the 50-Foot Woman is a big mama of a movie. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman was, as far as I can recall, one of the first monster movie creature feature, holy crap, look at the size of that dame, films that I ever saw. Made for the tidy sum of $65,000 and raking in $480,000 in the US alone, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman was an independent movie before that sort of thing was the norm, and quite a successful one to boot. Produced by Warner Brothers Pictures, directed by Nathan H. Geron, and written by Mark Hanna, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman left an endearing legacy on the whole giant monster kills everybody genre. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman starts with a news report of strange sightings of a UFO from all around the world. Enter Nancy Archer, played by Allison Hayes, who has stormed out of a local night spot after her husband and pet philanderer Harry Archer, played by William Hudson, was making come-to-bed eyes at town floozy Honey Parker, portrayed by Yvette Vickers. We discover that Miss Archer has a history of mental problems, including drinking like a poet on payday and being confined to the local nut house, and all these things play a major part in the plot of Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. Honey and Harry hatch a plan that would see him inherit all of her cashola by helping her with a swift nudge back to Crazy Town, but they're not quite sure how to go about it until the strange UFO shows up and gives them the perfect play. As Nancy drives wildly away from the bar, she finds herself on the back roads just in time for the giant ball of space machine to land in front of her. This bit is so funny. The UFO is on strings. I mean, like, really on strings. And secondly, when we get our first glimpse at the alien life form that causes the attack of the 50-Foot Woman, he's some random bald-headed dude who's about as threatening as a basket full of puppies. He also has a giant rubber hand that he uses to try and steal the diamond that Nancy is wearing around her neck. Sufficiently spooked, Nancy runs back into town, a whoopin' and a hollerin' about massive slaphead aliens trying to nick her shit, but is met by a group of people who don't believe a word she says and assume she's fallen off the wagon. When she returns home, she fights with Harry, then makes up with Harry, before falling asleep and allowing Harry to swipe her diamond to take to Honey. Eventually, Nancy convinces Harry to accompany her out into the desert in search of her translucent chrome dome from another planet, admitting that if they can't find him, that she really is crazy. After a long, very long search, they stumble across his spaceship, and in a moment of utter jubilation, Nancy runs up to it and starts pounding on the walls. Harry, actually being quite sensible for once, tries to pull her away, but when the follically challenged alien gets out of his vessel, Harry empties a gun into him to little effect and buggers off sharpish, leaving Nancy to her fate. The police get involved because, as far as anyone can tell, Nancy going missing probably means that Harry bumped her off and fed her to the local wildlife. But to everyone's amazement, she reappears on the roof of her pool house. She's sedated and put to bed where Dr. Isaac Cushing informs the attending nurse to give her a specific amount of knockout juice every hour or so, but no more, as it will kill her. This is a handy little plot device, as Honey overhears the conversation and convinces Harry that this is their chance to bump Nancy off. When Harry tries to go through with this plan, he is followed into the room by the nurse, who saw him skulking around the house looking all murdery. But when she turns on the light to say, "Ha! Gotcha, you bastard!" she is stopped in her tracks at the sight of a gigantic Nancy laying in bed. How she is laying in bed is completely beyond me, as all we see is a hand and part of an arm that nearly fills the room. Not knowing what to do with the gigantic lady, Dr. Cushing and Dr. Heinrich von Loeb, who is flown in specially for this case, they decide the best thing to do is to chain her ass and other body parts up. When Nancy finally comes to, she goes on a rampage, destroying her house to get out of it, and in so doing bringing one of the most iconic monster movie scenes to life. Showing up at the bar, the most obvious place in the goddamn world for Harry and Honey to be hiding out, she tears the place apart, She crushes Honey under a table with a ton of debris from the roof before picking Harry up in her not at all fake mitt and walking off. Sheriff Dubbit, portrayed by George Douglas, fires a shotgun at Nancy as she flees. Though she has the top speed of a geriatric snail and is the size of an office block, so why she flees and where she's fleeing to is anyone's guess, which causes her to stumble into a power line. And with that, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman ends with both Nancy and Harry dead. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman is a great film. Admittedly, the plot is nonsensical, and they never really explain why the visitor from another world pilfers diamonds, nor do they explain why he turns Nancy into a gigantic monster. The special effects aren't that special either, and would have looked a tad ropey even back then. Yet for all its faults, or perhaps because of them, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman is rightly seen as a B-movie classic, and should be a stable part of any monster movie maniac's diet.